A very good morning to my dear students. How are you all? I hope you all are safe and secure. Stay home, stay safe. Welcome back to today's English class. In the previous class, we have started our unit 6. The theme of the unit is freedom. We have already discussed and analyzed the reading A Long Walk to Freedom, part 1. Today, let us continue with the part 2. Before entering into the lesson, once again, let us revise the lesson, part 1. Nelson Mandela was the first black leader to be elected as the President of the Republic of South Africa. He says, every man has two obligations. The first obligation is to his family, parents, wife and children, and the second one is to help his people, community and his country. In a civil society, no one can fulfill those obligations, but in a country like South Africa, it is not possible for a black man. A person who tried to fulfill his obligations was punished, isolated and put away by the government at the time. Mandela was not born with a hunger to be free. He had the freedom as a child to run in the fields, roast maize and ride the bulls. So this is the part 1 of A Long Walk to Freedom. It was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion, when I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. So here Nelson Mandela says that when he began to learn that his boyhood freedom, when he was in a boyhood age, he says that his freedom was an illusion. Meaning of illusion, an idea or belief which is not true. So which is not true, he is having an idea or a belief, but it is not true. When I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me. When he was in a boyhood age, he thought that it was in an illusion. The freedom was in an illusion, that his idea and belief was not in it true. But when he turned into a young man, he believed that his freedom was taken from him. That I began to hunger for it. So from that day, he started to find out about his freedom. Why was his freedom taken away? At first, as a student, I wanted freedom only for myself. So as a student, he thought that his freedom only is for himself. His freedom only should be for himself. The transitory freedoms of being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased and go where I choose. So he says that as a student, he thought that his freedom is only for himself. The transitory freedom, meaning of transitory, continuing for a short time. Only the freedom is only for continuing for a short time, and of being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased and go where I choose. So whatever he want to read, he used to read, and whatever he wants to go, he used to go. Later, as a young man in Johannesburg, I yearned for the basic and honorable freedoms of achieving my potential, of earning my keep, of marrying and having a family, the freedom not to be able obstructed in a lawful wife. So he says that as a young man in Johannesburg, he earned, meaning of earned, to want something very much. So he wanted something very much for a basic and honorable freedoms. He says that for an honorable freedom, he should have something of achieving, of potential, of earning my keep. Meaning of earning my keep, doing useful things to live. So doing useful things to live, and having an honorable freedom, he wanted to marry and he wanted to have a family. The freedom not to be obstructed in a lawful life. He says that it should not be in an obstructed way. He says that it should be in a lawful life. But then I slowly saw that not only was I not free, but my brothers and sisters were not free. So he says that, but then I slowly, who is I in the given passage? Nelson Mandela slowly observed that not only he was free, his brothers and sisters were not free. So here brothers and sisters, who are these brothers and sisters? The people who lived in South Africa. He says that his brothers and sisters were also not free. I saw that it was not just my freedom that was curtailed, but the freedom of everyone who looked like I did. He says that not only my freedom that was curtailed, meaning of curtail, to limit something. The meaning of curtail, to limit something. So he says that not only my freedom was taken away, but the freedom of everyone also is looking like my freedom only. That is when I joined the African National Congress, and that is when the hunger for my own freedom became the greater hunger for the freedom of my people. So he says that when he joined the African National Congress, when the hunger for my own freedom, so he was fighting for his, when he was fighting for his own freedom, it became the greater hunger. The hunger became the greater hunger for. So meaning of hunger for here, to have a strong desire for something. So he decided with a strong desire to have the freedom for all his people. Not only for him he need the freedom, he requires, he says that all my people also requires the freedom, needs the freedom. It was this desire for the freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect that animated my life, that transformed a frightened young man into a bold one, that drove a law-abiding attorney to become a criminal, that turned a family-loving husband into a man without a home, that forced a life-loving man to live like a monk. So he says that it was his desire for the freedom of his people. The people should get the freedom and they should live with dignity and self-respect that animated his life. Meaning of animate, make someone more active. He made all the people to look active in their life. That made every people, a young man turned, a frightened young man turned to a bold, means brave person. A frightened young man turned into a brave person that drove a law abiding, meaning of law abiding, obeying and respecting the law. So meaning of attorney, a lawyer. He says that a person, a lawyer who obeys and respects the law, turned into a criminal, and that turned a family-loving husband into a man without a home. He says that a husband with a family is now turned without a family. That forced a life-loving man to live like a monk. He says that a loving man, a life-loving man who loves his life, just he turned like a monk. Meaning of monk, a man belonging to a religious community living under vows of poverty, chastity and obedience. So without a family, a person who is completely staying with his family, completely loved his family, completely changed like a monk. I am no more virtuous or self-sacrificing than the next man, but I found that I could not even enjoy the poor and limited freedoms I was allowed when I knew my people were not free. He says that he was no more virtuous. Meaning of virtuous, having high moral standards or self-sacrificing. So he's completely changed, and he says that I am not virtuous or a self-sacrificing man for the next man, but I found that only I could not even enjoy the poor and limited freedoms. He could not able to enjoy the limited few freedoms that was allowed when I knew my people were not free. So when he knew that his people were not free, he was unable to enjoy the limited freedoms also. Freedom is indivisible. Meaning of indivisible, unable to be divided or separated. The freedom cannot be separated. He says that freedom cannot be separated. The chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. He says that the chains of anyone, it says that in all of my people has the chains. If one has the chain on his body, everyone has the chains on their body. The chains of all my people were the chains on me. He says that the chains on all my people were the chains on me. Nelson Mandela says that the chains on his people were the chains on all of them, and the chains on all his people were chains on him. I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. Nelson Mandela says that he knew that the oppressor, meaning of oppressor, a person or a group of people that treat somebody in a cruel or unfair way, that treat in a cruel way is called an oppressor. They must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. Meaning of oppressed, the feeling of being heavily burdened mentally or physically. How they are facing the problem, the oppressed people, how they are facing the problem. In the same way also, the oppressor also must be liberated. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. He says that a man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner. Meaning of prisoner, a person put in a prison of hatred. Meaning of hatred, extremely hate. He is to be locked behind the bars of prejudice. Meaning of prejudice, an opinion about someone or something that is not based on reason or experience. So here once again I am telling the meaning of prejudice. An opinion about someone based on a reason. An opinion about someone based on a reason and narrow-mindedness. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom just as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken from me. So here Nelson Mandela says that he is not really free because his freedom was already taken from him. He says that his freedom was already taken from him, so why he is not really free. The oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. He says that the oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed. Meaning of robbed, take property unlawfully by force or threat of force. So by forcefully they took away the freedom of their humanity. They took away their freedom from them. Now children, let us discuss some few question answers based on the paragraph. First of all, children, tell me what type of text is this passage? What type of text do you find in this passage? It is a speech. It is a speech by who? Yes, Nelson Mandela. A speech delivered by Nelson Mandela. So let us discuss the questions now. What did the speaker learn about his boyhood freedom? What did he learn, children, about his boyhood freedom? You can see in the first line itself, Nelson Mandela learned about his boyhood freedom was an illusion. It was an illusion. Meaning of illusion, an idea which is not true. So he says that his boyhood freedom was an illusion. Coming to the next question. What are the transitory freedoms mentioned in the above speech? What are the transitory freedoms, children, above mentioned here? Yes, the transitory freedoms are able to stay out at night, read what I pleased. Here I becomes he pleased. Who is I here? Nelson Mandela. And go where he choose. Go where he choose. So these are the transitory freedoms mentioned in the above speech. When did the speaker want freedom only for himself? When did he want freedom only for himself, children? As a student. First, as a student, he wanted freedom for only himself. Next, what are the basic and honorable freedoms here mentioned here, children? What are the basic and honorable freedoms mentioned here? Yes, earning his keep and marrying and having a family are his basic and honorable freedoms. It was this desire that animated my life. Here, which desire is the speaker referring to? What is the desire the speaker is referring to here, children? What is the desire? Yes, the desire refers to the great hunger for the freedom of his people. It refers to the great hunger for the freedom of his people. What is the way the oppressor must be liberated, children, here? What is the way the oppressor must be liberated? Yes, he should be surely as the oppressed. The oppressor must be surely liberated as the oppressed. Next, who is the prisoner of hatred here? Who is the prisoner of hatred? Yes, a man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. So, who is the prisoner of hatred here, children? A man who takes away. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. Next, where is the prisoner of hatred locked here? Easily you can tell the answer, children, here. Where is the prisoner of hatred locked here? Yes, he is locked. Here itself you have the answer. Where is the prisoner of hatred locked? He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. So he is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. Next question. Why was the speaker not really free? Easily you can tell here, children. Why was the speaker not really free here? Because already his freedom was taken from him. Already his freedom was taken from him. So why the speaker was not really free? Children, this is very important lesson. So go through the lesson thoroughly and read the textbook carefully with the help of the meanings. Once again, let us go through the glossary. Meaning of curtail, to limit something. Hunger for, to have a strong desire for something. Law abiding, obeying and respecting the law. Meaning of attorney, a lawyer. Meaning of monk, a man belonging to a religious community living under vows of poverty, chastity and obedience. Meaning of virtuous, having high moral standards. Meaning of animate, make someone more active. Meaning of indivisible, unable to be divided or separated. Meaning of oppressor, a person or a group of people that treat somebody in a cruel or unfair way. Meaning of prejudice, an opinion about someone or something that is not based on reason or experience. Meaning of rob, take property unlawfully by force or threat of force. Meaning of obstructed, be in the way of. Meaning of liberated, free from traditional opinions. Meaning of oppressed, the feeling of being heavily burdened mentally or physically. Meaning of prisoner, a person who is put in prison. Meaning of hatred, extremely hate. Let us go through the comprehension question answers. What does the line, the oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity, suggest? So what does the line, the oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity? Yes. In brief, according to Dr. Mandela, the line, the oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity suggests that a man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred, and he is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. Is it clear, children? The man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked under the bars of rules and regulations. What relevance does Nelson Mandela's life have to the present society? Yes, Nelson Mandela believed in individual freedom. This is the main point, children, here. Nelson Mandela believed in only individual freedom. It is not taken for granted. Everyone has to struggle for it, isn't it? It is not granted there. Everyone has to struggle for getting individual freedom. There was a lot of oppression in South Africa during Mandela's time. We can see the similar conditions in present days in several parts of the world. We can also see the similar conditions in the present days also in various parts of the world. It was this desire that animated my life. Which desire is the narrator referring to? Already we discussed in the lesson, children. It was the desire. What was the desire that animated in the life? We just now discussed about this one. Yes, Mandela. The narrator is referring to his desire for the freedom of the people of his country. His desire, what was his desire, children? Freedom of the people for his country. So country, what was the name of the country? South Africa. To live their lives with dignity and self-respect is the desire that animated Mandela's life. He wanted his people of his South Africa people, his country means his South African people, should live their lives with dignity and self-respect. That freedom transformed a frightened young man into a bold man. So that freedom itself changed and frightened. A frightened young man was changed into a brave man. Children, read the lesson with the help of the glossary and write the glossary and comprehension in your classwork and send it to my given WhatsApp number. Thank you. God bless us all.